with 903, where we really stepped up in audio performance for TVs. We also felt that with the good picture quality we have, the NB light, that also in the 6 and 7000 series we should really deliver a better experience for consumers. So also therefore we improved the sound quality in those series. What did we do to change it? First of all, we changed the speakers. We took larger speakers which also reach a larger frequency range. So the old TV, or old, we're still selling it, but the 2018 line was reaching 220 Hertz. Now we are going to reach 180 Hertz. That 40 Hertz doesn't sound like it's a lot, but the male voice starts around 200 Hertz. So if you reach 180, you capture the full frequency range of a human voice, and it makes the sound more rich, so to speak. Also, the speaker is less rectangular. We all know that the sound is coming from the middle of the speaker. So, yeah, the rounder the speaker is, the better, so to speak. We improved also the sound quality for the 7504, which is this model, and we went even down to 150. That we could do because we added a woofer in the back. And for all TVs, for the 6 and 7000 series and up, we added Dolby Atmos to give them the cinema experience.
What does it mean adding Dolby Atmos? Because there's always the core component which you can encode anyway, so what's new?
What's new is that Dolby chip is adding, processing the sound to generate a more spacious. Yeah.
So it's what you do with it?
Yes. The speakers are the same. It's not that it's coming from above only because we don't have the speakers in the ceiling, but it virtually tries to manage that.
You don't have stuff like up-firing speakers in the back of the TVs as well, right?
Not now.
Ooh. Teaser.
IFA.
Well, we always introduce twice a year our new products. So, yeah, I'd like to see you at IFA to see if we will do or not.
Maybe. Such a tease.
What I wanted to say is that we made a change for the 8804. This is the Bowers speaker technology in an LED TV, but we had to make some changes. Not in sound performance because we use the same components, but Andy's going to explain in detail about it later on. But we need to decouple the speaker. And just to give you a small movie to see how much energy is coming out of that speaker. So we decoupled the speaker from the chassis. And that is needed because in the end, a TV is not a speaker box. And therefore you need to take some special measurements to get a lot of energy which is coming out of the woofer to control it that not the TV is going to move like that as well.
Could you play it one more time, please?
How do I do that?
Ah, sorry, no, never mind.
No, just wind your bar back again.
Just do it like that again.
Boom.
This whole energy which is coming out of the speaker is also a reason why you have little TVs having good sound. Because as I said, a TV is not a speaker box. Any questions?
So you improved the mounting of the
Woofer?
of the woofer.
Yeah.
So did it well on the
No, but there's a different TV.
So
that was OLED and this
yeah.
is LED. And LED has more components like a backlight
Yeah,
and all these
okay.
kind of things. So initially when we first used the same book,
Great, thank you again, and what a great compelling demonstration that is, by the way. I mean, it's one of those comparisons. It makes me giggle because you just, you know, it's so obviously much. It's easy, isn't it? It's like, wow, what a big difference. So let's talk about what we're doing. Those of you who are familiar with Bowers & Wilkins will know that we have ranges of loudspeakers, right? So we have the 800 series, the 700 series, and the 600 series. The 800 is the flagship range, the 600 series is the most affordable. What we commonly do is share technology where we can. So we try and port technologies and bring them into more affordable products. You'll know, for example, if you're very familiar with our products, that the 700 series, which came out a couple of years ago now, most of those drive units now live inside the 600, which we introduced in September of last year. So it won't surprise you that here we're talking about a more affordable TV. Clearly, this is an LED panel, not an OLED panel. So it lives below the OLED 903 that we introduced working with these guys last year in August, September. But we've shared a lot of the drive unit technology. So in fact, the configuration from a drive unit perspective is the same. So it's what you've had in the 903. So you've got the glass fiber mid-base drive unit, you've got the 19mm aluminium dome tweeter. We have one over there, by the way, without the cover on if you want to take pictures of it, but this one clearly has got a cover on it just so I can handle it. That's not actually production because obviously that wouldn't work. The difference here is that this is a decoupled assembly, so you can see these isolating mounts. It's just a very low shore hardness rubber with locating pegs, so the assembly is actually floating. It lives inside here, inside the structure. And then the same again with the low frequency assembly. So that again is the same as you saw in the 903, but the location point is different and also the mounting system is different. So in an OLED 903, I'm sure a lot of you have heard that product or reviewed that product, you'll know that it lives about there on the back of the screen. Now clearly here, as Deidre was explaining, that's going to be a problem. If we mounted that same assembly in this configuration here, then you might notice the fact that your screen's moving. That might be a problem. So we had to relocate it. So it actually lives now down here, lower in the structure, where we can get away from the screen. Obviously a good thing from the point of view of mechanicals, avoiding transfer of energy moving through the structure. Isolating it, living inside its own assembly. So it's again decoupled on the same sort of system, so it's basically floating inside the housing like that, so we can't transfer energy through the panel. So we can make lots of bass, but we don't cause problems to the picture quality, which obviously these guys might notice and complain about. However, there is an issue to that. If you think about what we talk about from our tuning technology, the way we work with our loudspeakers, and think about how we try and create sound from them, we're trying to get it out of the box, out of the cabinet. In a TV screen, you've got two, if you like, sensors. You've got a viewing sensor, which is the center of the screen, that's obvious, and you've got an acoustic sensor, which is where the drive units live. And what we want to try and do is get the acoustic sensor to match the viewing sensor. So we want to try and take the sound up so that it matches what's going on the screen. Now with 903, that was reasonably easy because the bass drive unit was there. Obvious, right? With this one, it's harder because it's lower down. So actually all of the acoustics of the system live down here and the viewing centre is still up here. So our task is to try and get it still to come up, to try and relate to what's going on the screen. Now to illustrate what we've done with that, I'm going to play you a piece of music. As Deidre was saying, consumers these days are using their TV sets to do lots of things, not just watch TV. In some cases it is to consume music, it's to listen to music, whether it's through YouTube or Spotify or whatever it might be. We're Bowser Wilkins, so I'm going to play you a CD. I appreciate that's an unlikely use case, but it's easy for me to repeat, so we're going to use it. So I'm going to play a piece of music, and the point is trying to get the sound up from out of here and free and in the room. So we're trying to place the sound stage around here. When the vocal comes in, we want the voice to be about there. Okay? There we go. I'm hearing straight away the sounds coming out of the screen, it's projecting into the room. Clearly, obviously what you buy a TV for, most of the things watching TV, right? So imagine now that's where a face was on a TV screen. If we can place an audio strand from a music mix up there, then clearly we can get the vocals up there too. So
how do you do that?
Well,
How do you move the sound up?
It's a combination of factors. The first and foremost thing is you avoid transfer of vibrational energy or resonance through the structure. So anything that I put into a structure, velocity into a structure, will transfer through it.
Mm-hmm.
So if we can avoid that, then we just essentially get a great deal more from the transducers, the drive units, moving forward into the room. So that's the first thing. Then it's the dispersion characteristic of the drive units. It's how the drive units actually project. So we like to try and use conical, radial drive units. It's more straightforward, so the tweeter in particular, which is why we use the relatively quite large. It's 19mm, this, so relatively quite large. And again, that's also decoupled within this assembly as well. So it's actually floating within the assembly. And then the mounting plate's also decoupled as well. So we're trying to, again, get as much from that up. Because it disperses, relatively speaking, quite evenly that way, we get quite a good amount of energy.
The speakers are not angled upwards?
No, they're mounting forward, but they've just got a really good broad dispersion pattern going that way. And then the same again from the MF as well, this one as well, it's doing the same thing. So it's got a fairly broad, open dispersion pattern. So some of the sound, of course, will come onto that or onto whatever else, but that image coming this way is going forward into the space. That's what we're trying to achieve. It's basically straightforward stuff, guys. It's the kind of thing we've done in loudspeakers for years. Anybody who knows our loudspeakers will recognise that kind of signature. I mean, again, if you think about the average loudspeaker on a stand, if you've got, anybody got loudspeakers at home? They're normally about like, what, 1 meter 30, 1 meter 40, depending on what you've got, maybe a little bigger, maybe about here, but they're never this high, right? Unless you've got really massive speakers. Now, most performers are normally taller, so you need to get the sound up. Because if you're trying to recreate the sense of a person standing in front of a microphone, singing to you, then we need to take the acoustic sensor and we need to bring it up to recreate the illusion of the real performer standing in front of you. So we've been doing that kind of thing for decades. It's the same principle. Does that make sense?
Sort of, yeah.
Right, okay, let's put a film clip on.
Nee.
Saying bass is important, but we're not just chasing that, right? We're trying to create as many elements as we can, as convincingly as we can. So we're also looking for resolution, detail, spatial placement, trying to get the sounds on the screen to track accurately, if you like, the sound on the screen, the action on the screen to track accurately to the sounds on the screen. So when, for example, she goes up, you get that sense of something moving up with a degree of energy behind it. When you get that detail of him running his fingers around the brim of his hat, you get the sense of the fingers on the fabric, you get the detail within it, because it all adds. It's intelligibility as well. I don't know if you've ever watched that movie or watched it on a normal TV set. It's actually really hard to hear what he's saying because his vocals are quite recessed within the mix. They're quite a long way back, and we're trying to bring the detail out, trying to bring the clarity out so you understand more of what's going on. So it's a lot of things. It's a package of things, but it's just trying to make it sound more believable as a film relating experience. And is that a substitute for a complete 5.1 home theatre system with 6 foot tall speakers? Sorry, excuse me, 1.8 metre tall speakers? No. But is it a great upgrade from a standard TV sound? Well, we'd like to think yes.